told you I'll be back straight away in this marathon diecast review festival thing, lots of back-to-back episodes and so on. And next up in line, let's not hang around here, next up in line, now do not adjust your set. The camera is actually struggling to focus on it. It is very, very bright. This is the very definition of the word, what am I looking for? Eye-catching, that's it, something like that. This is the very definition of eye-catching. It is Mark Martin's, it's actually giving me a headache to look at. It's Mark Martin's 2011, number 5, GoDaddy.com Chevrolet. Just as you can tell, GoDaddy. Did I tell you it's sponsored by GoDaddy? And GoDaddy again. Do you think this car might be sponsored by GoDaddy? Do you think they've got quite a big GoDaddy sponsor deal there? I thought it was only Danica Patrick that had to cover herself in GoDaddy.com sponsorship equals. I'm just having a quick look. There we go. Yeah, I've just got a car to compare it with side by side for later on. For now, let's look at this car on its own. And let's take a look over it. Like I say, I think the camera, it might break the camera here. So I'm just struggling to focus. It's like, yeah, what is this bright specimen you have in front of me? And to be honest, it's not actually doing enough justice. The green on this car is so bright and zingy. Well, the camera's only digesting. It's looking quite dull on the viewfinder here, so it might not. Hopefully, when it comes out, it will show how spectacularly bright and zingy looking this car is. Zingy, that's a good word. Good word to describe this car. Right. Well, there's no real need to run through the sponsor logos. GoDaddy.com. 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 Oh, CarQuest. There it is. There is actually another sponsor on this car. But in the main, it's GoDaddy. And to be honest, I don't particularly mind the whole massive GoDaddy thing. Even if their obsession with Danica Patrick is a little bit disturbing, but hey. But their company colours produce a nice looking car, it's got to be said. Nice but a bit zingy, so this may not be to everyone's taste, but I personally really like it. I really enjoy this car. Incredibly eye-catching. It's a nice split. It's not quite half and half green and black, but it is close. It sort of has this sort of curved section here that sort of comes around, goes up over the boot lid, the deck lid, and then goes down the other side. Has a nice sort of splash covering to it, almost like a sort of headscarf or something, I don't know. That's what it reminds me of. And this orange accent on the bottom of it suits the numbers, the colour of the number really nicely. Accents the bright green. You really can't have a bright colour and a dull colour on this one. Well, obviously the black's quite dull, but as the two main sort of primary colours, you really can't have a bright colour. You really couldn't have that as grey, could you? It really wouldn't work, to be honest. But they accent each other rather nicely. And particularly on this car, the nose of the new look COT looks particularly nice on this car. They all sort of differ car to car, which is more what I like, more what I remember from the old days when I first started getting into it. Even though all the Chevys were pretty much the same, they did have subtle differences in the way they looked, and it's the same case here. They all had a slightly different nose. And this actually makes it look quite wide and quite blunt, quite snub nose, but I think that's just an optical illusion. Now, a moment ago, you heard me just suddenly sort of scramble for something. That's because I actually have a car, I've just found one, and I want to bring in as a side-by-side comparison. The camera really can't, it's going to melt down here, because here, this, I believe, is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2008 nationwide number 5 car with GoDaddy.com sponsorship. And this is much different. Even though it's the same sponsor, essentially the same colours, very, very different. As you can see there, it's mainly black, well the front half of it's mainly black with the nose, with the Chevrolet badge and the Monte Carlo SS logos and that, and the Goodyear logos and so on. No, the Goodyear logo is in fact in yellow, I think, but these bits are all in the GoDaddy lime green. As you can see around the back here, well there's a lot more sponsors on it. GoDaddy actually let somebody else put their sponsors decals on there, so there's Lowe's, National Guard, Delphi, all of which sponsored this car, or on this car at certain stages during that season. And this is one of the hood opening cars, so there you go, you see the engine detail. I wonder, will they be bringing out hood opening cars for the 2011 series? I mean, they've changed manufacturers now and they're on a much more limited run, so it'd be interesting to see. I mean, if the regular Kid Series, or Gold Series diecasts they're called now, are really hard to come by, then God knows, they'll only build about 2 of each like hood opening series diecasts. There'll be 2 in the entire world. But anyway, that's another discussion. But basically, the colours on this are all really kind of dull. It's almost as if they're a bit bleached, really. And there's no sort of zing to them, really. And the numbers are all white. And it's a nice looking car. It's a good sort of contrast of colours, but it's nowhere near as eye-catching as this one. So they literally looked at this car, and in the progress down the years of the GoDaddy sponsorship on the 5 car, on the 7 car. They literally went, we need to make this as eye-catching as possible, so all that people watch on the cameras is, what the hell is that bright green car flying around like a big Martian? Or something. Well, have I mentioned it's eye-catching? May have mentioned it once or twice, but it is. It's a very pretty looking car, and to be honest, this is really a sort of love it or hate it type car, to be honest. I mean, you could hate the look of this car, or you could love it. To be honest, I love it. That's why I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10 in the end. All of my scores are solid, aren't they? But yeah, this is a really nice looking car. I'll say it again, incredibly eye-catching, and to me the colours really work. I mean, it may be a bit too ostentatious and sort of in your face for your taste, but to be honest, I really like the look of it. And that's my review of the 2011 Mark Martin No. 5 Chevy in GoDaddy.com livery with GoDaddy.com sponsorship and GoDaddy.com decals all over the top of it. And well, I'll be back very soon, literally as soon as this review's finished, for yet another one. So stick around as the Diecast review marathon continues.